Good morning, everybody. My name is James Morgan. If you don't know me, well, I've known Mariska for a while, and she asked me if I would interview her today. This is more about mental well-being, really, isn't it, Mariska? And
Exactly.
kind of our experiences as event professionals. I'm Dean of the International Tourism and Hospitality College in Riyadh and founder of Event Tech Lab. And if you're interested in event technology, in the Knowledge Theatre at 2 o'clock is the top 10 event trend session. But we're really here, it's all about Mariska today. So I'd like to introduce you to Mariska Kesteloo from Word of Mice. And Mariska and I have known each other through the events mice industry for many, many years. But Mariska's personal experience over the period of the pandemic and in the last year has really kind of changed her life, I would say. So I'm going to sit here and interview. It's all about Mariska, and at the end, if you've got any questions, yeah?
Feel free to ask.
Great.
Yeah.
So Mariska, tell us, what was going on in 2020 with you? I mean, it was kind of a tough year, wasn't it?
Yes, indeed it was. In 31st of January 2020, I arrived at the hospital at the emergency department together with my husband. And within 3 hours, my life really turned upside down. So I heard that my husband was diagnosed with a large brain tumor. And the doctor said it doesn't look well. So then you realize that, that your future doesn't look well. So from one on to the other moment, everything that you build up, your relationship, your future, within a split second, everything comes by as a movie. And you don't know where you stand when you get such a horrible news from a doctor.
Because it sounds very sudden about what you're talking about. Were there any warning signs with him, or any kind of signals that were going off? And
well, a few days before he got diagnosed, I knew something terribly was wrong. But of course, if I look back now on the entire procedure, yes, I thought there were many signs, but he was really, really tired. He didn't have any headache. Sometimes he forgot something, but there were no signs that something was wrong in his head. So they're all very vague symptoms. So I was not aware that it was a large tumor in his brain.
Yeah.
So if you got something, you don't think there's something in your head. I thought, oh, he's busy with work, or he's stressed, or something else. But this was really, really, really unexpected until he called me on Tuesday before he was at the airport in Istanbul, and he called me, and he sounded like he had already a few drinks at 8 a.m. in the morning. So then I knew something is wrong. So then my gut feeling said we need to go to the doctor as soon as possible.
And then how long did it take between the time he got back and going to the hospital?
We went to so he came back on Thursday, and we went to the doctor on Friday morning, and she told me go directly to the emergency department. Yeah.
Wow. So that was pretty fast.
It was pretty fast. Yeah.
So do you think, as you know, I lost my brother to cancer about 5 weeks ago, and it's still. It's still a bit upsetting to talk about it because it's so recent.
Yes.
But he was kind of an alpha male, and he had a pain in his chest, which became lung cancer.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't really want to alarm anybody. And I suppose it might have been a similar situation with your husband.
It's possible. We don't know if something is in your brain, you change. And this is also the difficult thing of that people compare if you have cancer in your head, if you have a brain tumor, people think it's the same type of cancer, for example, as a lung cancer. But your partner change because the tumor grows, so your brains makes new connections. And also through the surgery, you change again. So it's not just only your partner change in the form of character, he also becomes, you cannot rely on him anymore because you don't know what he picks up. And sometimes, if he says this is black, I would believe him because he was a chemical engineer. He was a very intelligent man, but sometimes he would say, I've done this or I've done that, but I couldn't rely on him anymore, like like I used to do with my husband or my body. So this was really for me as a partner, the most impactful that my partner changed of character and I couldn't rely on him anymore. He was relying on me.
So the diagnosis was in January 2020,
Yeah.
and then most of Europe went into lockdown kind of March, April time, didn't it?
Yes.
And how did that impact on this whole sort of medical situation for you guys?
So my husband got the surgery on Tuesday before the lockdown. We didn't know it Tuesday that we went in lockdown just a few days later. Of course, it had a huge impact because not only my business stopped. My relationship was uncertain. How did my husband will go through this entire process? How long do we still have together? And also, of course, the entire information was cut off. And in the times where I needed persons to support me, they were afraid to come or they couldn't come because of the lockdown. So I was from an international traveling entrepreneur going from a caregiver to my husband being at home 24/7.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I had was uncertainty about where we lived, uncertainty about my relationship, uncertainty about my financial situation, about my company, about people that I was working with. So, yeah, that was uncertainty was the red line in my life.
So that must have been super scary because
Yeah.
you've got this kind of medical emergency happening,
Yes.
and then you've got the business almost being closed down because of the pandemic.
Yes.
So how did you deal with the business side of things while you had? I mean, what was going on in your head? Like, I've got to keep my business going. I've got to keep money coming in. Like all of us, we had to try and make do during the pandemic, didn't we?
Yes.
And how did you square that? What was your thinking there?
Well, one of the first thing I did, because I didn't have any distraction, because normally you go out to a restaurant or you have a cup of coffee with a friend or people come. So I was there stuck with my husband at home in the situation where he got out of the hospital on Saturday and on Friday evening we went in lockdown. So I had no clue about how the society would evolve, but also not my personal situation. They didn't give any information from the hospital if we have any symptoms, so every day was an adventure after the surgery, from what can he do, what he can't do, what is normal, what is not normal. And so one thing I said, I will try to continue with my business because it's the only, I won't say distraction that I have. So I continue to maintain, of course, in touch with my team, with my freelancers, but also with clients to see what we can do. And one of the first things that we did was we started with interviews with clients or peers from the industry, and luckily my business picked up pretty quickly. So,
but were you able to focus like on the business? I mean, like you're at your computer, you're trying to be creative, you're trying to put some campaign together, but you know what's going on at home. I mean, how did?
Well, first of all, it has such an impact. I mean, you're exhausted. At 9 or 8 p.m., your energy level is out because you have a totally different routine. Everything, what you do, you think, okay, if I do something for the future, is my future still with my husband or will I be alone? So I thought, if I stop my business, then perhaps I lose my husband and my business.
Wow.
So I thought, if this is, and he supported me to create my business. So I think if there's a legacy that I can build on, so therefore I continue to do my business. But of course, there were times where I had Zoom calls and I thought, I can't do it, or I had to do an interview, or that I was so tired. And for example, or in the morning, I slept a little bit longer in the afternoon, or I just took a nap between 2 or 3 Zoom calls just to get my battery again a little bit charged for the next meeting. It was really tough, but I'm so happy that I had that focus on keeping my business, keeping my business and keeping my network alive.
So almost, instead of just running a business, you were having to make an extra effort with your business because you need that backup plan.
Yeah.
And that seems to have worked out for you, because here you're bouncing back, your IBTM back to live and all the rest of it. But it wasn't your story, isn't that simple, really, is it? Because there was other circumstances that this lady's had a really tough time, actually, not only in 2020, but in 2021 as well.
Yeah.
So what happened in 2021?
Well, let me first finish what happened in 2020. So if you have a brain tumor, so the entire process costs 9 months of treatment. And at the end of the 9, 10 months, it depends, then you get the scan and then you will see the final results of all the treatments. So at the end of November, we went to the hospital and then they said the tumor is gone. There's nothing on the scan. So I'll not say you're cured because you know that it can come back. So we were very excited to have a future again together and said, okay, we're going to start planning things. And he was eager to go back to work. So he contacted his employer, said, I'm going to work from home in February, just 2 or 3 hours a day. And then we entered in 2021, and then we got the news that my father-in-law passed away at the 22nd of March. Then after that, we noticed that my husband got really tired, and I thought, this is not really normal. So I thought, you see then the symptoms. So then I knew already, I think the tumor is back. On the 22nd of May, I got a phone call suddenly from my father that my mother passed away very suddenly, unexpectedly. Then at that time, I was standing at the funeral of my mum, and I knew in 2 months' time, I will be back for my husband. And then on the 7th of July, perhaps some people know her, Miek Egberts from Inspire Me, from the DMC, which was also a good friend and a client. And then they called me to say, okay, she had a car accident. She was just 54 and passed away. And a week later, on the 15th of July, my husband passed away. So there was just, sorry.
Yeah.
It was
It's not an easy subject, is it?
No, it's not. And therefore, I really wanted to share my story here on stage because I know that so many people have suffered. Is it business? Is it personal? And so I think it's important that we share and that we share our emotions and be vulnerable.
I agree, yeah.
Because we can all have the facade and pretend and do here like business is back to normal, but it's not. I mean, our lives has been seriously impacted by the pandemic, by people that we lost, if it's through COVID or through other reasons. And I think the way how to move forward, because we do business with people that we trust, so it's important with what kind of people we do business, and therefore I think it's important to share those stories and that we also understand from the other side why people perhaps do not respond or that we have better understanding of what each other's situation is, if it's business or it's personal.
I mean, I've personally found it useful to talk about my brother to my friends and my family. He was diagnosed. He had a pain in his chest, and he thought it was from going to the gym, and it was, went on for a couple of years, and then he had a pain in the stomach, and then he went to the hospital, and they said to him, that was in the middle of August. I was in Riyadh. He called me up, and he said, I've just been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer in my lung, in my and in my stomach, and in my trachea, and that was it. There was no signs beforehand except the sore chest, which he just thought he was an alpha male, and he used to do special effects on movies, so he was always moving around and doing things. But he was my best friend, and literally he went downhill in the space of 2 months. He died 5 weeks ago. So in a way, that was lucky. It wasn't like a very long illness. He went quite quickly, but I agree with you. You know, by talking about it, it's a healing process.
Yes, definitely.
And, you know, a lot of people bottle that kind of stuff up. And I found it very useful to be able to talk about it. So I hope you don't mind me sharing here on stage either. And I'm sure the people that are sitting here, the reason you probably came to listen to these stories today is because you might have gone through a similar situation. Has anybody experienced something like the two of us? I don't know. Anybody? Hand up that might have had a rough time in the last couple of years from anything? You don't have to share it, you know. But Mariska and I felt that it would be important for us to share, and maybe we could help anybody else that
Yeah.
wants to talk about it or might find ways that they can actually, you know, take the pain away. I don't think the pain will ever go away.
No, no, no.
It always that loss will always be with you, won't it? And do you think that, you know, in terms of the loss, dealing with it from the business point of view, said that helped you? So it's going to the next step when we came out of the pandemic. What was your experience then with, you know, the loss and the grieving process?
Well, it was a very, say, it was such a. I had the feeling that I was living in a, say, in a nightmare. I was not. Yeah. You don't think this is happening to me, because then you get suddenly the news and all bad news, and you think, yeah, is this really happening? You just can't, yeah, you just can't believe it. So one of the things that I did through in 2020, and what really helped me to go through this process, was to start writing. And so I started a diary, how I felt, because I couldn't share my story. I couldn't go for a glass of wine or a cup of coffee on a terrace, because everything was closed. So what I decided to do is to write. And every day I wrote about my emotions, how I felt, how I dealt with the situation. And when I had 40 or 50 pages, then a friend said, yeah, you should do something with it. I said, oh, he's interested in a story. How do I experience this time? Then I got in touch with the publisher, and she said, I think you really should share your story. So I wrote a book, which is now published, which was actually ready in April this year. And it was the purpose to do the book launch together with my husband. But when we got the book launched, then we already knew that, yeah, we couldn't do the book launch together. But it really helped me writing. I'm not saying that everybody has to share, write a book, or you can just write it on paper or a diary, but just sometimes it's very good to write down how you feel, or what are your frustrations or your emotions, because it's very difficult. People cannot judge how it is to be you in that kind of a situation.
So what, I mean, if we think of emotions in general, I mean, you know, we have happiness, we have joy, but we have despair, and we have other negative kinds of things going on as well.
Yeah.
I mean, what was this an emotional roller coaster, and what was some of the specific emotions you felt that are written down in the book?
Well, of course, and I think some people can relate with that you rely on people, and that you think that you get support for some people, but they, some people really let you down in this kind of a situation. You really know now on the people who you can count and the people you don't.
Yeah.
That was for me also a very frustrating process, because you think that people understand, but they don't understand, and I cannot blame them, because I'm very grateful that they're not going through the same process as I do. But you expect that some people send you a message or give you a call to say, hey, how are you doing? How are you dealing with the situation? But they don't, because they don't understand, or they sometimes are afraid, or they don't know what to say, or they don't know what to share. That's the same. I think also a lot of people, if they would meet you during the fair today, it's especially death is still a very difficult topic to discuss and to cover, especially if we do international business. So if I walk somewhere around, and I'm not saying that people avoid me, but some people say, yeah. And you see that they're struggling to approach me. They want to approach me, but on the other hand, they don't know what to say.
I know. But social media is an amazing thing, because I actually got in touch with your business partner when I first heard the news, because I didn't know what to say.
Yes.
So I got in touch with Jarro, and I just wanted to know how you were. And he said, look, get in touch with Mariska.
Yes.
And I did,
Yes,
you know,
yes, I
because
appreciate.
I wanted to, you know, I
Yeah.
wanted to know that to know that I was there for you.
Yes.
But and the amazing thing is with me is that when people found out about my brother, and he had quite a large network of people. We were from South Africa originally, and people from there spread all around the world. I mean, I was getting messages from childhood
Yeah.
friends and his childhood friends from around the world, and it was really comforting that.
Yeah.
And in English, we have an expression, fair weather friends, and I don't know if you know it. It basically means when the going's good, they're your mates. But when things get difficult, they're just not there anymore. And then you can certainly, in these kinds of situations, you can find out
Oh, yeah,
who the
definitely.
real people are, you know,
Yes.
who your real friends are.
Yes,
And
definitely.
there must be people that you probably go, well, actually, why should I bother being your friend? I mean, is that how you feel about some of these people?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there were there were very difficult times, and especially because yeah, some people don't have their own business, and then you lose so many people, so people also don't know what to do or how to yeah, or how to deal with well, say how to deal with the situation or how to deal with me as a person. But you can see it's thanks to a good friend that I'm here, because usually I go every year to IBTM and I travel together with my husband. So we travel on Saturday, spend the weekend together. If I go to the fair, then he did his thing, he enjoyed Barcelona, and then we flew back on Friday evening or Saturday. And so my best friend, she knew that I was always traveling for this fair and to Barcelona. And then I said, well, I'm not going this year. I'm not feeling up to. I'm not ready to meet all these people. And then she said, yeah, I understand, because you used to go with Christophe. So yeah, but I also love Barcelona. And I said, yeah, but I'm not ready. I will go next year. And then she called me 2 weeks later and said, I'm sitting behind the computer. I'm going to book now with Transavia. I click on the button, book ticket. So you should also book your ticket and you should go to the fair. So it's thanks to her that she got me out of my comfort zone and said, Mariska, you should do this because I think you will get a lot of energy out of it. So those are the people that you need in this kind of
Yeah.
situation, because
Yeah.
it is literally thanks to them. And it's also something that I would say you cherish your best mates, and despite that you're in a difficult situation, be very grateful for the people that do understand or do their best for you. So yeah, I really appreciate having a personal, say, good network of people, and thanks to her, then I'm here.
So how do you feel about IBTM? I mean, you know, just going around the show, seeing people, being here, and then also the memories of when
Yes.
you used to come together. I mean, it's a kind of mix.
Yeah, of course it's a huge mix of because you pass by of places that you visit or things that you've done together. And it was also actually our last international trip together, IBTM 2019.
I met him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really double. But the other side, it also gives me strength and energy, and I also. That's something I do believe. I'm sure that he is proud today that I said, okay, I'll be here and I share my story, because that keeps him also alive, the legacy to talk about him. And I'm very happy to be here and to see people live and be part of a live event, because I also missed it.
Yeah.
We all haven't been to live events, and we do business with people. So it's also for me very encouraging that all the people really are supportive and asking how am I doing, and then you see the power of the industry, which I think, yes, I really love this industry, and I really want to continue.
So let's turn to the book.
Yes.
So the book is written in which language?
Sorry, it's in Dutch.
Oh.
You should live it. But you're from if you're South African, perhaps you could
Yeah, but all
read it.
these people might want to read it as well. So, you know, it might be good to get an English version at some point.
Yes, I'm thinking of, but
yeah.
but it needs to be first of all. I'm not saying they have to be a bestseller
Yeah.
in the Netherlands, but it's a lot of the people who've read the book, and also especially people who are in a similar situation. I really got compliments that really helped
good.
me,
Yeah.
because it's not just a book sharing my experiences, but it's also full of practical tips, what I did, how did I go through that period, and what other people perhaps can implement or try to, I'm not saying make this process easier, but make it a little bit lighter.
Well, look, let's look at some of the practical
Yeah.
tips, because I think we've got till We've got another 5 minutes.
Yes.
So let's look at 5 practical tips and
Oh.
give a minute to each. So say what the tip is and then how to implement it, and then we'll go through each of those 5 tips. And then if anybody speak Dutch in the audience, hands up. Oh, one of you. Well, you get Mariska's book, please. Okay. Tip number 1.
Tip number 1. Well, one of the first things that I did, like I said, start writing. So find a source where you can express your emotions. If it's sports, if it's writing, that's really something where you can be yourself. That is really something that helped me a lot. And also that's perhaps in combination with number 2 is also take care of yourself, because this process is such intense on mentally, physically, on all levels. I was exhausted and not doing much, but just the impact that it has on your energy level. I could sleep for 12 hours and I could get up and still be exhausted and tired. So really take care of yourself. And
so when you say take care of yourself,
yeah.
So let's break that down. So
Yeah.
we've got diet, we've got exercise, we've got mental well-being, and sleep. So you said you slept a lot.
Yeah.
What did you do from your diet point of view? Did you change your diet up at all?
Well, my husband actually decided to change his diet because he wanted to eat healthy through this entire period. So yes, we changed our diet together.
Yeah.
So yes, that's something that we did.
Any exercise, walking, or
Yes, I was trying to go for a run, but sometimes after 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I was already exhausted,
Wow.
and then I just walked. But
Yeah.
it's good to be, especially in times of pandemic, to go out and to have some fresh air. But there were also moments which make the situation for me very complicated. I couldn't leave my husband sometimes very long alone at home because
Yeah,
it was his
yeah.
brain, so he was confused. So I needed also to have someone. If I would go to the hairdresser, I needed to call my aunt to say, okay, can you take care of my husband? Then I can leave the house. But luckily she was always willing to come, or someone else. But I needed those moments to, I won't say recharge my battery, but a
Yeah.
little bit charge my
Yeah,
battery
yeah.
to continue through the next days. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And then what about tip number 3?
Tip number 3. Well, this is perhaps very strange for me to say that, but despite all the challenges that I had past year, and what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and it really is true. And it also changed my how I am and how I look on the different things. But even if you have your darkest moments in your life, there will be moments that you could say, okay, this was
It's a joy, yeah.
I'm not saying that it was a blessing. So
Yeah. No,
yeah.
it's not a blessing, but last night we all had drinks and we had a great laugh, didn't we? We enjoyed each
Yeah,
other's
of course.
company. There was a few people here, Robert and Alistair were with us, and we had a wonderful time.
Yes, yeah, indeed. And I think then that's also something about, say, tip number 4 is some people think that I should perhaps cry all the time as being a young widow. But the things that we did in our relationship, despite we were only 12 years together, we moved to the US, we accomplished one of our dreams, we traveled together, we had our own way of living. And that is very frustrating if you would see that other people are trapped in a certain rhythm or procedure or habit. I think you're not living the life that you want to live.
Yeah.
And it was only 12 years, but therefore I have so many beautiful memories, so many things that we've done through those 12 years. If perhaps for some people they haven't done it in an entire marriage of 50 years. So therefore I have a lot of things to cherish, which I can build on. Thanks to him, I have my company. Thanks to him, I've written a book. And therefore I see so many people who are unhappy, and I think it can be, how fragile we are as humans.
Absolutely.
It can be over tomorrow. So please live the life that you want to live, or do the things. There's never a good moment to start your own company. There's never a good moment, whatever you want to accomplish. But please please do it. If you want to go on that trip, do it, and please don't wait.
And I'm sure he would want you to do that in any
Yes,
case.
of course. That's what he said. Continue with your life, and even gave some places that I need to visit. So
Oh.
I still have a lot of things that I would say to cherish, to carry on,
Yeah.
and that's something that I would cherish in my heart. But you can, yeah, I think also said something about how unique my husband was.
Oh, yeah. And then I think you got one more tip up your sleeve, haven't you?
Yeah, well, also what I think life is, we are so fragile. Also, be very grateful what we have. You see that a lot of people are struggling, losing their companies, and sometimes we can be very angry or be fed up with small things. But I think look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
We're here. The people are here, despite all the challenges that we have on business and personal level.
Yeah.
We're here today, and
Exactly. Yeah.
and cherish the things, and be, as I say, carpe diem, but also be thankful for what you have, and cherish
Yeah.
what you have with the people that you love.
And as part of cherishing is the memories of the past.
Of course,
Yeah.
yes, indeed.
Absolutely. Great, Mariska. Thank you very much. That was amazing, and
Thank
you're
you.
a very brave girl, and I love it. I think everybody, listening to Mariska's story here has probably touched some of your heartstrings, and let's give her a big hand because that is incredible. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions? I know that can be quite difficult, but if you want to ask questions in private, Mariska's going to be around.
Yeah, we'll be here.
Rather than asking questions on this topic publicly can be difficult. But please feel free to approach Mariska afterwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.